We welcome in our next guest on the show, and that is going to be Cory Beougher, the head coach of the Lakeside golf team. Coach, appreciate your time this time of the year. Like, what I mean, kind of see that finish line as well. It's got to be an exciting time for you.
Yeah, it is. Golf meet yesterday, golf meet tomorrow, golf meet next Tuesday, golf meet next Friday. Seems like they try to jam them all into May, but with weather situations, that's probably the best thing you can do because early April isn't real conducive to golf weather.
You talk about like other sports, and like sometimes like there's some sports that like, man, we wish we just had as many games as possible, or we wish we had more time for practice in between games. Like for golf, do you just kind of want to run as many meets out there as possible, or would you like more days in between?
Oh, I think it's good for the kids just to keep practice, as you well know, is not something all of them really like to do anyway. They like to the meets and going to stuff and getting out of school, I think, as much as anything. But it's you got to kind of have a decent balance between the two. You know, there's things that you need to work on from one meet to the next, and so you try to get a little bit. But like I said, in May, it's pretty hard to get that in. It's just meet after meet and trying to get to the end of school year.
What are some of those things you are trying to work on that you've kind of noticed that you would like to tweak before the final stretch?
Yeah, with sand greens, it just depends. A lot of times, driving and approach shots can be a little bit different, but we really like to work a lot on the approach coming into the sand. Whether you're going to fly it in or whether you're going to roll it in. 8-iron, pitch and wedge. We really like to concentrate on that a lot, usually towards the end of the season, because that's where you kind of break your scores.
So you mentioned fly it in or roll it in. Like, is there a certain distance that you kind of like to do one or the other, or what's your approach?
My approach is not always the same as the kids, but they sometimes have a mind of their own. Depending on the course and depending on the sand green, we have a lot of sand greens that are elevated. So rolling it in, you're not going to get a clean roll usually as an approach. So we try to work on both just depending upon the situation. If it's a flat course and a flat coming in, the roll in a lot of time is better for me and for most of them because it just gives them a little bit more control coming in. When you're having to swing a club half speed as compared to a full speed, you sometimes make better contact. So we try to teach them both in both ways.
Yeah, you look at your schedule and your meets. Like, how much of a balance is there? Like, are you mostly scheduling like sand greens, or do you have grass greens? Like, what's kind of the mix?
We usually play at least two grass greens. We usually play them early, and then since haven't stayed in sand later on, then the last month is strictly sand. But we try to balance both and have in the past. So I want to experience. I want them experiencing all of it. So some of the local courses that we get to play on Osborne and Smith Center, we play grass. But I do try to balance it between the two if we can.
There's a number of them throughout the state and the area, but those sand greens, like I feel like north central Kansas, like that's like the hot spot for sand greens. What happened there? How come there's so many sand greens out there?
Lack of water and money.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to maintain a grass green it's expensive, time consuming. Where we have our course, and we had in all the sand green courses that we play on. They're really nice courses. They would make great grass green courses, but where your membership's not real high and in a small community, it's a lot of money trying to put in a grass, not just from the watering and all of that, but for the maintenance of it. And I maintain ours, so I get to mow and do all of that. But it's just, I don't know, our area has managed to stay that. Even though a lot of the bigger towns around us have grass, we've been able to, maintain the sand. Of course, that's only for this year. After that, we're done.
Well, yeah, I mean, you talk about, like the last year of the sanctioned sport for sand greens from Keisha for a state championship. So, like, what is the future, I guess, for Lakeside golf?
We've already pretty well got our schedule for next year. We were going to try to keep some sand, green matches and tournaments if we can, but if one goes to grass on this day and they don't reciprocate, it's going to be hard to keep the sand in place. We'd like to keep a couple, especially for my JV, getting to play meets. It's harder to get them onto the grass. Maybe it will be, but I think we've got 5 or 6 grass scheduled for next year already. So we may have a couple of sand ones, but we're going to try to just turn it over to grass if we can at this point.
For you, I mean, a long time, administrator, I guess, teacher there at Lakeside, now retired, but you mentioned maintaining that golf course. Like, what is it like just trying to maintain that golf course?
I do a lot of mowing. A lot of volunteer work is what it is. And that's with all of them that are in the area, not just me. It's not just ours. It's a lot. It takes me roughly 9 to 10 hours to mow it. And then I have to mow it, in the spring, if you get a lot of rain, we mow it 2 times a week so it doesn't windrow. But, and our course for sand is one of the longer ones. We have, we're 540-yard par 5s and our par 4s are fairly long. So, and we don't share hardly any of the fairways. So it does take quite a bit more time to mow.
Cory Beougher, head coach of the Lakeside golf team, joining us here. I mean, you're a longtime Lakeside guy. Like, what got you interested in just that job? You go back, decades ago, but like, what excited you about just joining Lakeside? Well,
it was when I first started, we were Downs, and then we consolidated with Wakanda East back in 2003, and that's when we became Lakeside. So I was here at Downs started in 1982 out of college and never left. I like the area. I like the kids. There's a lake and hunting and fishing, and I like to do that. And I just enjoyed it from the very beginning. And I never looked to move and never looked to get out, and had our family here, and we just stayed.
An assistant early on there at whether it was Downs or Lakeside, like, what did you kind of learn as an assistant that kind of translated to some of your success as a head coach?
Well, most coaches will tell you the same thing. Have good talent. have kids that want to work at it, and then you don't have to do a lot. Golf's one of those sports that you got to hit a lot of golf balls. You got to go out and play. And all sports are kind of that way. Basketball, baseball. You don't get good at practice time. You get good at time on your own when you're spending extra time there. A couple hours a day at practice, you can work on a few things, but you need to stay and hit and then get out on weekends and off season. And that's why we've been pretty fortunate. These kids, parents play, and then they play and get started at a young age. And you just try to help them with a few things. And most golf coaches will tell you too, it's more about mental than it is physical.
I mean, yeah, the success of Lakeside golf, I mean, especially here recently, has been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, the 5 straight state titles, what is, do people now kind of when they come into Lakeside and they get into high school, they kind of have that expectation of that standard?
Yeah, somewhat. But again, the kids that we've had have been really good golfers, and then their parents have been good golfers. And so they kind of expect them to go out for golf. And so it's really, when you put back to it, when you put the time into it, then you get good, and then you get better and improve. And that's kind of how we've been for the last 5 years. And it's been a good run, and it's been a lot of fun.
How much fun has it just been seeing different players stand out, step up? Because you win 1 or 2, okay, you might have had a good class that kind of carried you for a while, but when you continue that over now 5 years running, it's got to be fun for you just to see different players step up.
Yeah. And we got young kids. We got a pretty good 8th grade group that their parents play a lot of golf. And I know that next year they'll be antsy to get out on the course too, and really stress, the fundamentals to them and with the start. But yeah, it's been just year after year when one kid leaves, then a freshman or sophomore that had to wait behind it. And see, with sand, that's kind of a double-edged sword for the last few years, because we only get to take 5 to state, whereas in grass you get to take 6. And in all 5 years, I've had to leave 1 to 3 really pretty good golfers that probably could have placed at state. I had to leave them home because they got beat out by somebody better. But sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's hard on a coach, I can assure you, on that end of it. But on the kids, are they going to be hungry enough to want to make it the next year? And so that's kind of how the run has went about. We've always had kids waiting in the wings to step forward, and it sure helps.
It's helped out a lot. Hey, Coach, appreciate the time and best of luck the rest of the season.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That is Cory Beougher, head coach of the Lakeside golf team. We'll have more of the show after this.